What's going on, people? It's Mr. back again with the review show. I hope everyone's fit and well. Sorry I'm late because there's Mr. Do Daly was eating his food, so I do apologize for being late. So yeah, if people get angry, blame this guy. Yeah, another fantastic week for us.
Slide first and then blame me. Then I want.
Listen to me, people. It's Des's fault. Like I said, it's not my fault. It's Des's fault. But like another. What the hell are you wearing? What? You Superman, Matt?
I just thought I put my eyesight's failing, so I thought I'd sit back and put on my glasses because otherwise I'm going to start going like this. It's getting old. It's getting old. It's all the goals going in and burnt my eyes out. That's so I'm going. It's kind of
cool. Your friend Glenn now as well.
No,
Glenn, now you've offended me and Matt.
No, because you know what, the thing with Glenn, right? Glenn got his voice up on, and you know, I'm just being like, here's what it is. And so, yeah, people, if you want to get at Des and Matt in the comments, get at them. I don't care. I don't care anymore now. But yeah, I know fantastic win for Nottingham Forest 3-0. Like I said, I've got the panel. Like I said, no, I'm Glenn. How you doing, Glenn? These two for last. How you doing, Glenn?
I'm not going to lie. I've had a really busy week. I was working away last weekend. I drove up to Nottingham at 3:30 yesterday. Got back at 2 this morning. Managed to do the day with 4.5 hours sleep. But I'm still buzzing actually from. So glad I came up last night. Can't tell you how glad I am. I can't wait to talk.
You know, and I saw Glenn as well. Glenn was waving his hand up there, waving his hand up, and. It's like being one of your fans. Like,
I was as far away from you last night than I was at the QPR when I sat in the home end, wasn't I?
Yeah. I said, got the Mr. Do Daily Des. How you doing, Des?
I'm all right. At least I'm on the camera this week. I've been carrying the camera around for Door all week.
No. Right. Let's put this straight, people. Des, right? But now he's got his new adventure with his what? Des. Tell everyone what you've been doing, Des, for this other thing, this other platform you've been doing.
Just some football stuff. If you want to see proper football material, just follow Do Daly and what he's doing, rather than this door bloke. I'm getting a bit bored of that. He got me carrying his camera around at the BBC. Like he's gone all big fish now, so I had to go down. I had to find my own little bits of work.
Listen to my. People comments. Des now thinks he's Mr. Big Charlie because now he's working with some turtle thing now, and it's good. I seen it. Des, I saw my man stand on it, so Des thinks he's a big Charlie now. But as well, Do Daily as well. His link is below. Subscribe to his channel. See, something positive. Subscribe. Make sure everyone subscribes to Do Daily as well. He's on 260, I think. Is it
a cooking channel?
Right, last but not least, we've got my idea, Matt.
Hello, Mr. Door. How are you?
I'm great, man. We won again. See, every time we win, Matt comes on. It's every time.
Inspiration. Yes. Well, I'm not buzzing. I don't buzz at my age. The buzzing stopped years ago, unfortunately. But never mind. I'm just ticking over.
Last but not least, people, like I said, Carry Campbell event, Thursday, 28th of April. If you want to get your tickets, the link is below. Please go and get your tickets. It's going to be a fantastic event as well. Right, let me start with Mr. Do Daily. Great result for us yesterday, Des. And talk to me, Des. Talk to me.
Oh, it was brilliant, wasn't it? It was absolutely fantastic. Really looking forward to the game last night. When we played QPR early in the season, I was so angry that we didn't beat them. I thought we really should have. Brennan Johnson ran and ragged, so I was looking forward to it in that sense. But just a wave of excitement and anticipation, and the fact that it's starting to feel like we're unbeatable. You know, the more I think about Sunday, I'm still realistic in the sense that Liverpool, Forest, one team should win. But the more I think about it, I'm starting to think we're unbeatable. Do you know the way the second half last night, the first half weren't too bad. We had the best chances. We had some glaring chances, and I think the conditions played its part in terms of what in terms that Yates didn't stick them away because he got stuck in the mud and the ball went up in the air and kind of things like that. So we had some really big chances. And it always felt like we was going to get back into it. It didn't feel like when we went 1-0 down, it didn't feel like one of those frustrating games where you just really struggle. And then, like at QPR earlier in the season, we got a late goal when it was too late to score again. Obviously, it was a bit of a speculative effort from what a goal that was, and that from the moment Spence scored that goal, there was only one winner in that football match. And I know that's easy to say in hindsight, but we just ran them ragged. They couldn't get out of their own half. I did think QPR contributed to their own downfall. I was never a Mark Warburton fan. Every team does it nowadays, but the way they played it along about 4 or 5, that's not good enough to do that, was ridiculous because it invited us onto them. Spence played almost as a third striker throughout that match.
Yeah. He played everywhere. He played centre midfield everywhere. And
he played that high up the pitch, and they closed. They did a job on certain players, but it just gave other players. Johnson I wouldn't say weren't at his best, but he didn't have a particularly lively game. They probably did a job on him. But Spence, Worrell was playing more as a right back than a right-sided centre back. And I just thought we were just better than them. And this is what I've been saying for weeks. And this is why I think we're going places, because we're just better than what's in front of us. It's like Sheffield United when we played them away. Same sort of feel. When we're feeling this against these teams, I feel we're going somewhere. And coming out of there last night, you couldn't help but be impressed, could you?
100%. I think it's good. A couple of comments I want to ask you. One, I think this is for Des. Get McKenna on the new daily fitness regime. That's for you, Des. As well. I think this is aimed at you, Matt. Where is that comment? Has McKenna built a double-story extension for the comment?
She doesn't need any encouragement. They did brilliantly, didn't they? I'd put John Moss in it if it was left to me, though. To be honest.
Dave! You know what? Never mind. Actually, Matt, a Premier League referee. I know we won, but the Premier League referee, he was shocking, wasn't he? Shocking.
He looked like it was all below him. He never gave anyone the hurry up all night. He was
happy. He was happy.
I was losing my shit after about 15 minutes, and it just got worse from there. But yeah, I like Des was saying, I wasn't in doubt at all. We went behind. It's like you've got a big brother who's going to come and duff up the nasty boys in the playground every time, and you're relaxed. I was getting a little bit anxious 80 odd minutes when we weren't winning, because there was only one winner, even when we were behind at half time. But that's what I kind of liked. They were so assured, 80 odd minutes, and they weren't rushing things. They just knew they were grinding them down. We should have scored 4 or 5 goals easily. We had multiple chances. And I thought one of the big pluses as well were the substitutes. We've got lots of players now around the fringe of the team that are really big players. Joe Lolley is potentially the biggest player in the league, and he's looking back to his normal self. And it's Silva. Caffu seems like a completely new player. So now we've got lots and lots of options, and you've got Myton and all these others and all the defenders we've yet to see. It's very encouraging. We've got Grabban coming back and all that kind of stuff. It's like, who are we going to pick up front now? Exactly. We're spoiled for choice, and Surridge as well is fantastic. He made the goal which Caffu kind of fluffed up and Johnson scored. It was largely down to him with another great ball in. So they're loving playing for this football club, and they're nearly all of them playing some of the best football of their careers. So who is going to stop us? They're going to have to be a very good or a very, very lucky team.
Before I get to you, Glenn, I'm looking at stupid Lee Tilson. Are you drunk or something? Am I the only one that thought that John Moss was all right? Did I have a problem with the official yesterday, personally?
He was dreadful.
No.
Cooper was one.
Matt, this what Lee's done to me. He's done this, got the right, and that's what Lee's done.
Yeah,
Lee,
he was. He was so bad, though. The problem was, and it happens often to us, he was letting them play rugby in the first half. The number of times they're doing professional fouls and he doesn't book them, you have to stamp down on that. They were doing it the whole game, and about 70th minute, they were starting to get cards. It basically meant we had a 30-minute game where we could actually beat them.
Do you know what? The referee weren't fit enough to referee the match. That's why it was stop-start The referee couldn't keep up with the pace of the game. So the reason it was so stop-start, and when there was a free kick, we had to wait for him to be in position, is because he couldn't keep running.
He wasn't even looking, though, was he? The goalkeeper had the ball, and I was screaming, and he was looking the other way, looking at his feet and wandering around. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. It's terrible.
Let's talk about their goal, and we'll talk about Figueredo, and I think there's a comment from Kieran. And, where is it? How good was Figueredo last night? While me and Matt earlier spoke about the haters are desperate to slag him off, I tweeted last night, people giving him stick, people didn't give him rest. I personally thought Figueredo played well, Glenn. What do you when you saw the lineup? Was you happy that he started for Forest?
Yeah, Des and I had a chat before the team came out. Actually, I wasn't surprised that they chose him, and I was really delighted that actually he played the whole game. He looked a little bit rusty, although there's some of the stats today saying he had 51 passes, most of anybody else. But there were a few that were a little bit out of the, a bit wayward, weren't they? But I think the fact that he covered him and Colback, no doubt we'll talk about later on, was immense up there. I think the way he played allowed Worrell to push forward on the right hand side a bit more and support Jed until Lolley came on, and I think he was very, very quickly into the game. There were it's obvious edges. He's not quite as fit as he perhaps could have been, but that's probably match fitness. But I really like the fact that he got involved. The manager really praised the fact that he kept himself in shape. He's obviously not been playing often, and he's got himself game ready. And when he had his chance, he came in and looked like he'd been playing in that setup and seems a bit more comfortable in a 3 for many, many more games than he has. The last time he played over Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I thought he had a solid game, an ideal person, next man up, and that's exactly the system, isn't it? He's the next fill-in. My only concern is the next with McKenna, if that's a potential risk as well. He would come in next. When he's got Worrell and McKenna, I don't know whether Worrell want to push on, whether there's another person that would give him the same sort of time on the ball and opportunities and options to pass. So that might actually not be a great move. I'm sure we'll talk about McKenna later, but I thought he had a great game. Disappointing, point he had a bit of a knock.
Before we talk about goals, we talk about their goal. And like I said, someone next to me was saying it was Figueredo's fault. But I'll ask you, Des, whose fault do you think it was? Like I said, I thought it was the whole back four, but it was good. It was a good goal. You can't. It was a good goal from Gray.
It was a good goal, and I tell you what, I've seen it a few times. I watched it last night actually when it came in, and I couldn't quite make my mind up whether it was Figueredo's fault. Do you know, if anyone was at blame, and he did have a good game, and I'm a massive fan of him anyway in general. If anyone was at fault, it was Figueredo, because he kind of, I wouldn't say at fault in the sense he made a mistake. He fell over. That was the mistake. And if that's a mistake, do you know, I couldn't really figure it out. Do you know, we can look for blame sometimes, can't we? And look to blame somebody for something that's unavoidable at times. I think it was a good move by them. They played it right into the channel. The guy peeled off. Figueredo was, I wouldn't say he was the wrong side, but because he fell over, he ended up on his backside. And then they shot low across goal. And I don't want to not blame him for the sake of it, but I don't want to blame him for the sake of it either. I think it was avoidable from further out. You know, we're letting them run at us the way they did. We should have been in front already. You know, and that guy, the guy who made that goal, who didn't start the game, he was fantastic when we played them last time. And
you're about Shea. Shea, what it? Shea? Yeah. Shea, yeah.
He was brilliant at Loftus Road, and he ran the show in the second half for them last time. And he only came on as sub, and he's a really good player. So it was a good goal from QPR. I I didn't see massive amounts of blame into it. You're always going to blame Figueredo and or McKenna because of the way he split the defence, because he ran between those two. But I don't think any of them was necessarily to blame.
No, you give QPR credit, but who was marking him?
That's a problem. That's why you just came out.
But who was marking him? If you're a defender, you have your player. Who was marking him?
Well, it would have been McKenna's, wouldn't it?
Because no. McKenna's over the other side. No, it's Joe was marking him. McKenna was on the left. Joe was marking him, and Joe should have either gone with him or played him offside. It was Joe's fault, if anyone's. Again, I'm a big fan of Joe. I'd give them the credit. They timed the pass well. I would give 20% blame to the keeper for letting it go through his legs. It happens. I'd give 10-15% blame to the midfielder who made the pass too easy. I'd give a little bit of blame to Figueredo because he slipped over. But anyone can slip over. But if you're the guy, if you watch it, Gray came from his blind side. He probably didn't know he was there. He had no idea. Worrell was marking him, and Worrell should have either stepped up or seen the pass and gone with him. And he left him. It's irrelevant. Figueredo was just there and just fell over.
He went through the other channel. He went between Figueredo and
he went behind him. I think you'll find. I watched it again. I'm pretty sure.
Right. Yeah, he does go behind him, but because of where he is on the football pitch and the way the defence lines up, like I say, I don't blame anyone necessarily.
You mainly. I think you all want to blame someone, but it certainly wasn't Figueredo. You'd blame the goalkeeper more than Figueredo. Figueredo just fell over. He was dead. He was just a cone. The ball went past him and he fell over. If he'd been able to turn on a sixpence and create amazing traction to keep up with this guy who he didn't even know was there, fine. But he'd be playing for blinking Chelsea if he could do that. Kurt Zuma couldn't do that kind of stuff. So why should he? He just fell over. That happens. It happens to anyone. But Joe was marking him. He could see the play. The guy played a good ball and he timed it well, but he had too much time. They got their timing dead right, and Joe left it, and the goalie let it through his legs. And it happens. Yeah, but I bet you any money Worrell will be upset with that because it was his man, and he should have either stepped up and played him offside or said, no, I'm going to drop with him. And if he'd gone with him, if he just followed him instead of not following him, he wouldn't have. He would have been there at least. So
I'm going to give it to Glenn. We've been talking about the goalkeeper how often as well, and he's not been too bad. Yeah, he conceded a goal. But Glenn, I think I spoke to Matt and Des about it. But what's your opinion about Howard? Because since he's come in, he's not been too bad, has it? He did a decent save in the first half.
He did.
He didn't really. Second half, he didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing to do, but. Glenn, like people in the comments, what do you think of Howard? I'm liking him. But Glenn, what do you think, Glenn?
I liked him when I saw him play for the first time at Wolves, against Wolves, and if it wasn't for them being another level, and we had 4 goals against us, I saw glimpses of a really talented keeper that hadn't really had that much football in this country, and now he's had opportunities to play 4 games, and he's really settled in. 5 games. There's things from the very beginning that are still going to be an issue, and no one can coach those things out of a player, and improve a player that quickly in the space of 5 or 6 matches, 5 or 6 weeks. Okay, distribution. We're comparing him to Samba. I don't know if shot stopping wise, Samba would have had much more of an opportunity to save that goal last night. If you transplant one into the other, would Samba have done a better job? I don't know. There's things I'm seeing in Ethan Horvath, which is giving me great confidence when he's playing, though. And I certainly don't have that feeling that he's going to get lobbed like Samba does because he stands outside the penalty box. I certainly get the feeling that he's quite the loose cannon in certain areas than Samba is. Obviously, Samba has his strengths, and so does Ethan Horvath. I don't think he's anywhere near the player that Samba is, but he is being given opportunity. And I think he's grabbing it with both hands, literally, and is playing extremely well and playing probably more consistently, perhaps, than he would have thought he would have been at this stage in the season. If obviously it wasn't for that stupid error with Samba. I don't think he'd have perhaps played as much as he has, but I've been really impressed with him, and I certainly don't get the kind of what you're going to do kind of vibes I might do from Samba from time to time. But there are things that that he might not necessarily. He can't ping a ball 50 yards on top of Davis's head, for example. He can't do what Samba got, but he's able to pass the ball out, and he's obviously the back three are sitting back a little bit deeper, and they're passing the ball through him. I can't see much wrong with that if that's the philosophy that Cooper's doing, playing from the back anyway. I don't see a big issue with that. I think the distribution is the only thing, but that's coachable. That's something that you can improve.
Glenn, would you? The thing about that, would you play him against Liverpool? I think this is everyone's debate. I think everyone's been talking about it. I think it's on the last podcast as well about. I think Lee Tilson said it as well about his distribution as well. But I can't fault him. We've not lost a game since he's come in. He's got the spirit.
For me. To me, the biggest problem, he's a good shot stopper. I think he's on par with Samba shot stopper. I don't think he's as good a goalkeeper as Samba. If he is, why does he never pick the start? He's not as good. He's definitely not as good with his feet. It's not. It's not a big deal. The thing that worries me is command of the box. That's the biggest problem. He's not good in the air. He's not confident. He will hesitate. He's done it repeatedly. No, but he doesn't even do that. There's a lot of times he's stayed right on his line. He hasn't come. Samba will always go. He'll always back himself. I think it's a mindset thing. Look, he's a very good goalkeeper. If Samba was struck by lightning, I wouldn't be. You'd keep him and you'd say we don't need another goalkeeper. He's too good to be a second goalkeeper. So it's no disrespect to him whatsoever. Yeah. But Samba's the better keeper all round. He's a very good shot stopper. They both are. They're some of the best shot stoppers I've ever seen play for us. He played brilliantly again yesterday. Saved a couple of nailed-on goals, really. And so no disrespect to him, but he's not as good in the air. He's a bit of a, he's timid by comparison, isn't he? And I don't know, what he's scared about Samba punching someone in the head. It's never going to happen, that kind of thing. It's like, he'll learn his lesson. But they're keeping him out. They're making a point of it, aren't they?
I thought last night you saw a marked improvement in Orvath's game, confidence. Just the way he conducted himself when the ball was at his feet. He was a bit more assured about what he was doing. Not perfect. I agree with what the guys have said. I'd still say Samba for me every day of the week. But I did think yesterday you saw the biggest leap in his confidence. He looked like a reserve team goalkeeper playing in the first team until yesterday. And yesterday, I felt like he looked like a first team goalkeeper. He was doing some of the things Samba did at the end of the football match, bending down, waiting for players to come, all that kind of thing. I don't want to use the word on a child-friendly YouTube channel. You know what I mean? So
you know what you mean.
I just felt yesterday his confidence just went to another level, and again that's really interesting in the grand scheme of things, especially if he gets a few more shots at keeping the number one shirt.
Yeah, but if we all agree he's not as good a goalkeeper, it's not like a kids' football team where you're sort of saying give him a go, let him improve a little bit. This is peak professional football. We're trying to get into the Premier League. You don't just give people a go.
With you, Matt. I don't think anybody disagrees.
No, that's what I mean. So that's Matt, the funny thing. Sorry? Who plays? I would pick Samba because I think...
Right. So people comment. Who would put in goals? Who would put in goals?
If Samba lets in 6 goals, it'll be like water off a duck's back. But it will be an opportunity for him to show himself and show how good he is, because he's going to be busy. Whoever's in the goal is not going to have a quiet afternoon, are they? Whereas I think if Horvath gets bombed and gets, ships a few goals, it will hurt him more than it will hurt Samba. So that would be my logic.
I know what you mean.
Samba engaged. I don't know.
I think you said that on the weekend. I totally agree with that. It will affect Ethan more than it would Samba. Yes. Yeah. And Ethan doesn't he?
I think Samba, this is the opportunity to get him back into the team, because you can almost say we'll put Samba and Surridge in for the cup game, and then look, Samba's back in goal. It's almost what you've had your little time out. You enforce time out. You learn your lesson, or it'll happen again. But it's almost like this is the chance to sort of squeeze him back in without upsetting the apple cart too much.
And look, and if he plays really well, he'll have the opportunity to be the hero. There could be penalties and all this kind of stuff, but potentially, let's pray, he could be. It will be a big game, couldn't it? It'll be a big game for the goalkeeper, whoever it is. So I would put him in because of that. Because if Horvath ships a few goals, and let's say he does a couple of stupid things, goes through his legs or something, or whatever it is, then who do you pick for the next game? It's harder, isn't it?
Yeah. So people in the comments, who would you put in goal against Liverpool? Samba or Horvath? Put in the comments below. It's a debate that we have. Like everyone's done an opinion, and that's what we're here for.
It's good to have a debate on goalkeepers because we've not had a second choice goalkeeper for such a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Like and say Donald Smith signed a contract as well, so we've got a third choice keeper as well. So that's
it's a pretty good one as well.
Another good one as well. Well, there's 97 people in. Thank you very much for watching this. If you are on the YouTube channel, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to Mr. Doodle as well. His link is below. People show some love to his channel as well. Right, look, right, second half. Where to start? Do you think Steve Cooper must have said to him, "Keep going"? Because I think the first half it wasn't bad, but Cooper must have said to him, "Like, go on, keep going," because QPR was getting a bit tired. But let's talk about.
I think I think we all agree, and everybody I speak to thinks Cooper's a bit of a master tactician, and he gets his tactics spot on. He would have weighed QPR up and seen the way they played. And the thing that Cooper's begging for, if you listen to his interviews before last night's match, he wants us to play in the opposition's half. He wants us to play further up the pitch. He wants us to be confident. With the way QPR were playing, and like I touched on it before, and I was kind of frustrated for Warburton just watching it, even though I don't particularly like the guy and didn't like him at Forest, is they just invited Forest to do exactly what Steve Cooper wanted them to do. So you're questioning, do you think he said keep going? Absolutely. Just keep doing what you were doing. We're carving out chances. Yates should have scored 2 in a minute.
I know.
We had other chances as well, and I just thought that they have to play deep because they've got such a what's the word? It's a physical back line, but it's not very mobile, and they're slow. That they're tall defenders who don't turn very quickly. I looked at my mate yesterday and said, "This has got like Matt Mills written all over it." When he was at Forest. It's that type of player that once they've got pace against them, once they're on the back foot, it's hard to get out of. And even at 1-0 up, they was on the back foot. They were time wasting from 15 minutes in, which I found ridiculous for a team that is in their position. I thought they'd be a bit more of a game, but Cooper must have said, just keep doing what you're doing, shoot on sight because that goalkeeper's crap anyway, even if he's not injured. Just keep shooting at him, and the goal was absolutely.
Let's talk about the goal, man. Let's talk about the goal, Desmond. It was amazing, wasn't it, Des?
Oh, he's stunning, and if your right back can do that, and we know Spence is probably above the level we're at now. Anyway, we know he's not. No disrespect to Brennan or Matt Cash at the clubs they've gone to. Spence is going to a top club. A top club, because when your right back is coming back, he's finding himself in that position.
You don't want that kind of talk on this channel. You got to put something. You don't want that kind of talk. He's at a top club. This guy behind me. Look at this guy behind me. Look at what he did at our club, and look at what he did at the clubs he went to afterwards. Not a lot.
Matthew, if he's still here next season. I'll provide all your pictures of him.
But it's very short-sighted. Everyone is such a. When you got a Brennan, you've got these guys that are working the team, like Spence. It's the same guy. He was at Middlesbrough. They couldn't wait to get rid of him. They'd have taken £1 million for him. If only we'd spitten their hand off at the beginning of the season. When he came along, it's like, why have we got this guy? I've never heard of him.
That's what I thought. I was exactly the same at me.
Who is he?
Right. Glenn, I'm not trying to be... Right. Glenn, I'm not trying to dis Glenn. If people don't know, Glenn used to teach Spence. Jed Spence. So I'm not trying to... But I didn't know why we signed him. Because we had so many right backs.
Would you like me to say why we signed him?
Why?
Because Jed Spence was a very talented teenager who had some issues, which meant that he didn't quite fulfill his. I've got to be careful now. Academically, he was not strong. If you listen to him speak media training wise, he needs a bag full of it because he's a man of few words. But he was super talented in sport. I was a PE teacher and I was head of PE when he was in our football teams at Hatcham College in New Cross.
Taught him everything he knew.
Sorry?
Taught him everything he knows. Brilliant.
I didn't teach him very much, to be honest. He was in my PE class, but he was coached by a colleague of mine, Shay. Yeah. And Shay and I were working really closely with him to keep him involved in sport because that was the thing that he really thrived on. I'm not surprised that Warnock had issues with him. I'm not surprised that he's had a few run-ins with a few people, and in the end they just went, right, you go and do something else elsewhere. I completely agree. Had we offered him £1 million, I think we'd have got an absolute steal. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that we didn't go there yet. Because I watched him for about 6 months from when he joined Middlesbrough because I knew of him obviously, and I was watching his career going through. And I was talking to Holly on the way up yesterday actually about the hope for me that wherever he ends up next year, he has a Cooper figure in charge because that is what he needs. He needs a nurturing arm. You've seen the images that they put on, the relationship they have in public on the pitch and how much they obviously respect each other. That's exactly the role model and person he needs, whoever he goes to next year. I don't think he's going to get that at Tottenham, Arsenal or Bayern Munich.
They won't care about him. They won't care about him.
That's what makes Jed Spence the player that we now see in him, or else he wouldn't have even come to us. He'd have stayed at Borough, or he'd have been sold in the transfer window last time. The player that he's become is because of Cooper and the system.
Precisely.
And the heart that he put up to the fans yesterday, I think means a hell of a lot more. I hope the people around him, and I don't know who looks after him, are bearing that in mind wherever he goes next time, because he will really thrive on having a figure like Cooper and a setup like ours. And if it's us, amazing. If it's not, I hope the person that looks after him and takes him on will give him that background, that backing.
What you have to remember a lot, though, is a lot of this is going to be down to Middlesbrough as well. So we can dream all we want that he's going to be at Forest. If somebody offers 25 million to Middlesbrough, he ain't coming to Forest.
It comes down to the player. It always comes down to the player.
Yeah, but I think if Spence had a choice, I think we'd be in with a chance.
I mean, a big chance.
I think when it comes to money, we haven't got a chance, and it's as simple as that. There's no point lying to ourselves.
He doesn't have to sign for anyone. Look, you've got to talk about people like Ollie Burke. How much money has people paid out for him? How much money does he cost per goal? You've got to talk about people like Dele Alli. Dele Alli was going to be the greatest footballer I'd ever seen a few years ago. Now all he does is go and play video games when his team's playing it, doesn't he? So it's like these are kids. They've got to be in the right environment and treated properly. I think Glenn's absolutely right. And the question is he going to put aside a big load of pot of money that he could definitely cash in and get a load of money, a huge signing on fee for his agent. But when they were sending him back to Middlesbrough, he was crying his eyes out in January. And if he feels the same way come the end of the season, you don't want to sign that person that wants to be playing for Steve Cooper. He won't be half as good. He's got to be on a football pitch playing for a manager. He's too good at his age to be a reserve or something like that. He needs to be on it. He needs to be impressing the world like he is now at Nottingham Forest, like Brennan is now. Like a lot of these players are like Davis is now. They all are. Whoa, a whole lot of them. McKenna, everyone's impressing the world. We're a big club. We're big news now. And he's achieving everything he can possibly achieve at Forest. If he'd been at Middlesbrough, Bayern Munich wouldn't be after him. If he was at Chelsea, Bayern Munich wouldn't be after him. He wouldn't be getting a game.
Yeah, but it's all right having all the sentiment. But the realistic thing about football, this is the way football works. But players get sold. Matt Cash loved Forest. But he went to an Aston Villa because
he did eventually.
Money talks.
That's up to him, though, isn't it? But that's up to him. He didn't have to go. He didn't.
Order! Let's get it. Let's order.
John.
Order this court. Listen, what I love this. Like, this is why we're here. We have debates like this, and I love it. Carry on.
No, but I just think that's so fatalistic. I think if I was a footballer, I would want to. Stan Collymore will tell you, he should talk Stan Collymore. He should have stayed at Forest for 2, 3, 4 more years, and he could have been playing for England and all that stuff. It would have happened. In hindsight, they know. You know how many great players go somewhere else and don't do anything. It happens more often than not. Cash is the exception. Think of all the players we've sold. How many of them have gone on to better, greater things? It's fine, sure. If he just wants to cash in and not be a footballer, but if he backs himself, he's achieving everything he can achieve at Forest. He's got 20 years, and I'm sure Brennan feels the same way. He's living his dream right now. He can spend an extra year, 2 years with us. If he's still improving exponentially, he's going to be going to play for one of the Champions League teams. He's not going to be going sitting in their reserves and stuff like this. They're that good players. Back yourself, play. We'll get promoted. Then we got the money. We can sign them, and the dream can continue.
I'm sorry. I'm looking for the comments. All he does his face. Where should I start? I'll start with Adam Astor. I totally agree with Matt and Glenn. Where's the other one? Marketing class cuckoo. Wait. Just Door has spoken. I have spoken, but people, this is what we need. It's good to have this kind of debate, and it's like it's healthy, not taking it too seriously, and it's good. I'm loving it. Marcus, fight. Matt is a waffle mate.
No, but.
Adam Door has lost his guess. I've not lost him. It's just yeah. It is.
Keep going, Door. Keep going.
30-10K is the only decision you have to make in a 10-year career. Yeah, is what it is. People, hit the like button, please. There's 102 people in. Please do hit the like button, and it will support my channel as well. If you've got Matt is deluded.
It's the same guy. It's the same guy who's the same idiot. So if this guy is Oliver Burke's manager who's advising him and rubbing his hands. That's who he is. If the player Jed Spence needed Nottingham Forest and now Forest need Jed Spence, it works. And Steve Cooper more than anything. It doesn't have to be Forest.
Though, I totally agree with Glenn and Matt myself. I want Jed Spence to stay at Forest.
Sure.
And I think the best thing for Jed Spence, personally, will be to stay at Forest.
Sure.
And progress his career. I just don't think he will stay at Forest if we don't go up. It's as simple as that.
Well, he probably won't. It'd be dark. How can he? How can he? Unless we got 14 million for Carvalho. We haven't got the money to pay for him. It's obvious.
Exactly. And that's
it's obvious. Yes, that's obvious. But the point is, it doesn't, someone has to offer the money, for a start, and then he has to agree to go.
Right.
It shouldn't always come down to money.
We can talk. Go on, Matt. Before
It doesn't always come down to money, does it? You've got, if you believe in yourself, you've got a 15-year career. You don't have to sign the 5-year contract on loads of money now, do you? And if you do, it can be the worst possible thing for you. Look at all those good players that Chelsea destroy and all that kind of stuff. If this guy's ambitious and he likes playing football and he likes what he's doing now, there's a lot to be said for that. Half our team last season were ready to give up playing the game. And now they're having the best season of their lives. People who have played for decades and never, and they're enjoying their football. You can't buy that. You cannot buy that.
Right. We could talk this for ages about Spence. We could talk. Let's change the subject. Well, people, it's like I said, I'm happy. It's just debate. It's about people have an opinion, and I think that I get what Matt's saying. 100% Matt. What like I said, I think there's a one. I agree with Matt. Money always comes down to money. It is. It doesn't come down to money as well. Right. Where we lost Ryan Yates. The man himself. I thought it was an own goal. I personally thought it was an own goal, but it wasn't, was it, Glenn? It was the man himself scored again, and he's just a goal machine. And England, why is Ryan Yates not called up for England squad? I'm not. He's on form. He got these.
We don't want him distracted with that crap.
Yeah, but he's on form. He's on form. Why is he not called up to the England squad?
You've got to be kidding. If they didn't want Antonio, they're not going to want him, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but Glenn, talk about Ryan Yates. He's just again scored a goal, and this guy
superb. In fact, where I was sat right at the back of Brian Clough, I thought Surridge had scored actually because he was right in the middle of the goal. I didn't know if it ricocheted off him. I thought it might have been a goal as well. The fact that he was obviously the one that scored. Just got himself in the right place at the right time, didn't he? Like Des was saying, he should have probably had a hat-trick by it. You know, it could have been a hat-trick goal. That he had some really good opportunities in the first half, but I wouldn't have put anybody else in that position. Didn't he shoot leading up to the corner as well? Was it him or someone else?
Oh, I think was it Zinkernagel, the one that touched around the post low? That was Zink. Yeah.
Right.
I make a mental note when he does something good.
Just phenomenal again. It was so great to see him play last night. Just getting himself stuck in, getting really, and got himself another goal. Can't say any more than that. Another one on Sunday, please.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? There's 109 people in. Like I said, people, if you want to put in the comments, ask the panel anything, please do about Forest season so far. There's 28 likes. If you can get me to 50 likes, people, please do. And like I say, subscribe to the channel as well. And let's say we're on form. Last but not least, we're talking about Jono's goal. And I'm going to ask you, Des. Like, me personally, I think Brennan's been a bit quiet. But the goal that he scored yesterday, I just working for a little bit, but it was a good goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did what he had to do, didn't he? The goal, I wouldn't base his performance on the goal. The ball fell to him. He'd have probably scored it, whether the keeper was injured or not. But he did have a quiet game. I think QPR did do a bit of a number on him, and teams are starting to do a bit of a number on him. But he finds ways to get around it. It's a compliment as much as anything, isn't it? He's a top player where teams have got to do special things against him. What it does do is frees up space for other players. It's helping the other players around him. So when he's playing inside a bit and he's taking players inside, we saw the space that Spence was getting all the way down that right hand side. And like I say, all the way down the right-hand side, not just from right back, almost from a right wing position himself. So it's just the dynamics of a game, isn't it? Sometimes it's not about a bad performance. I saw people saying perhaps drop him and play Surridge and Davis. No, don't be ridiculous. He's our best player. You don't drop it. He's not had a bad game. Sometimes you might not have the
quiet. He's just quiet. That's what it is. He's not involved more,
But it's John Moss. It's John Moss. You get a pen and paper and mark down the number of times he's got 3 people climbing on his back every time he's passed the ball. That's what it is. That's why the referee has to do his job. It was ridiculous. He was mugged every time he got the ball. And the right-hand side, I thought yesterday was very... all 3 of them work as a unit. Even Wazza gets involved, and sometimes you'll find Wazza is ahead of the other 2 on occasions. There's some crazy stuff going down. But a couple of times, Spence made a big thing of going inside as well. I don't know whether you noticed that. And he ended up sort of virtually verging on like a number 10 role. And I think it's brilliant the way they're playing their football. There's so much confidence, there's so much sort of risk. And they make mistakes. You know, Worrell's been asked to play more football in every game than he normally need to play in a season these days. He's doing passes and left, right and centre all over the place. So, yeah, it's fantastic. But that's what the referee let us down yesterday. And I thought in the first half, they were taking big chunks out of the game where they just take a sit down when we're all over them and all stuff. They killed the game and they were playing the referee like a violin. And, you know, it was only the second half, we were swarming them and overwhelming them. And, you know, he was still playing along with them and making it hard for us. But Johnson's an excellent player. You know, he's one of the best prospects in the whole league without a shadow of a doubt. So you've got to play him. And he does play him every game, doesn't he? He hasn't taken him off at all, hardly. He's only missed about a minute.
Yeah, 100%. Right, next one. I got a bit of a blow. McKenna came off injured. And I've asked you, Glenn. Kenna, he's been fantastic for us. Even if we're future, he's been fantastic for us. Do you think he'll be, if he is out for a while, do you think he's going to be a massive miss? So, yeah.
I will probably get criticised in the comments for this. If he's at any risk of an injury at all, I would, if I was Cooper, not play him on Sunday. I would give him the international break before. Is it Blackpool?
Blackpool, yeah.
Mm-hmm. To completely rest. I heard Cooper last night. We're not sure what he's done. A bit of fatigue, hopefully. Now, if it is, great. If it's not, and there's a potential risk, it's in the back of the calf, behind the knee, hamstring, perhaps. If there's any risk of him having more of a consequence of the injury, I would not play him on Sunday, and I'd rest him through to the rest of the season in April. Personally, I don't know who I'd put in there instead. And if Figueredo is the one there, like we were saying earlier on, he would really benefit from having a Cooper figure next to him. Panzo, why not?
He's the one. He's the obvious one.
He's the one.
If there's any risk, I wouldn't play him on Sunday.
Because I just know me, Des, and Matt, we went to watch the 23s, and Panzo, especially second half, was really good. And I think he's playing that free set back. He can play left wing because he didn't run down. So if McKenna is injured, possibly playing against Liverpool, what I've got to lose, to be fair. Right, players involved. I think we're going to mention one player that we already mentioned. He's just come back, and this is for you, Matt. We're at Joe Lolley. Great to see Joe Lolley back last night. It could be a very good weapon for the run-in. I've played him instead of thinking on Sunday, personally. Des, Joe Lolley. When he came on, it was good for me, but what do you think about Lolley when he came on?
I think Joe Lolley's got a point to prove, hasn't he? I'm a massive fan. I always have been. I've loved him for a long time, but his form did just drop like a stone, and he was in that crap formation and set up that Chris Hughton threw upon everyone. And when he has come on under Cooper, I thought there was a time, just referring back to that QPR game again.
Let's go. That reminds me of Tay of Ed.
I don't even know what that is.
Basically, he's a guy that
Larry David, like?
No, he loves Arsenal. Like, I really love Forest, but he wears the whole club of Arsenal. Go on ATV, type in Tay. People come but it's not a bad thing, though.
Okay.
It's not a bad thing. Carry on, Dan.
Right. Yeah, so Lolley, when he has played under Cooper earlier in the season, he's looked lively. The QPR game I referred to before, away, he looked like he found a position. And when you've got Lolley on the ball taking shots, that's his game. You know, last night he was involved in a couple of, well, not directly involved, but he was like second assist on the third goal, and he did some good work to set up Zinkernagel for the corner, which led. So, and that's what you want from Joe Lolley. That's what Zinkernagel don't do enough. That's where I think the position might be up for grabs for Lolley. You know, is almost that number 10 role, playing off a striker. whilst Brennan Johnson's at the club, he's not going to get much chance in his normal position because Johnson's gone above and beyond. But Lolley's got such a part to play, and he's another guy that loves a football club. And perhaps, after what happened under Houghton and a loss of form and some niggly injuries, which is
it's fitness, isn't it?
Spoken about a lot. Perhaps Steve Cooper again. We know how well he works with players, whether they're young players, whether they're players who dipped out of form, fringe players, older players like Colback. He just gets something out of everybody, and you see by the way the squad is that they're all feel involved, and I think that's what Lolley needs as well. Lolley needs to be at a place where he's worshipped, where he's adored, and when he's got that behind him, he's a completely different player. And I think it could be he could have a massive part to play in the last 6-7 weeks of the season, coming off the bench. Particularly, what I'd be particularly sort of I wanted him to score last night. I wanted him to have a shot at that goalkeeper because I think
why do we not shoot at all in the last 5 minutes?
I don't know.
Why do we not shoot at all about that centre half?
No, I know we didn't. That's right. I know. Anyone shoot. Yeah.
What I wanted to happen there was Lolley just to hit one for miles, go in, and Lolley's goals are like London buses, aren't they? When he gets one, he gets 7. He gets 7 on the spin, and then he's a big part of the squad again. And in a game when you're perhaps losing sort of 2-1 or 1-0 or whatever you're losing by with a minute to go, Lolley comes on, bang, and then you see a completely different player. And then, like Matt said earlier, I think the squad's looking big again. I've always said throughout the season, it's been 11 players. Cooper's got his 11. He's still got that now. He's never budged. He's never budged from that 11. But now you're looking at a reserve goalkeeper. You're looking at Figueredo coming in, doing a great job. You're looking at Caffu, who's getting a lot of praise, who I spoke about.
That's what I'm talking. Yeah, mention Caffu, Dad. Mention Caffu. I'd like to mention Caffu as well.
Caffu, I've been talking about him all
this guy.
He is the man for that job. He is the man for that job, and they proved it again last night. Cooper brought him on straight after that second goal went in. He was on there to hold the ball up, keep the ball. He spoke about how he's been a great squad player. He's been a team player. He's been involved in everything. But we saw this earlier in the season, didn't we?
Wait. Who did I have a debate with about Caffu being at number 10? What was it? You, Matt? I'm sure it was you, Matt. I had a debate with Matt.
Look,
Caffu, no, wait.
Caffu's got to be. Last season under Houghton, he was a toxic influence in the dressing room. He was totally ineffective. He did literally nothing apart from a Rabona that went astray.
Oh, come on, man.
No, that's what he did. He did like 0 assists, 0 goals. All he did was get his ankle, had delicate ankles. That's all I learned about him last year. He could do a Rabona.
Come on. What
he did. But this season, since he's come back in now, different player. As a number 10. No, but he's not. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No, it doesn't matter. He could play. He's more of a defensive midfield, but he's doing really well. I'm trying to give him credit. Let me get the credit out. He's playing fantastically well now. I've given him all the shit. I've given him all the shit. He was second only to Anthony Knockout last year, probably. It wasn't a good thing, but I don't blame him. Wait.
Anthony Knockout was good last.
No, he was terrible. He was terrible.
Yeah, I thought he was good.
He was terrible. No, he was terrible, but he was allowed to get away with it. That was the ethos last season. You could come on, you could wave your arms. That's all you did. That's all our players did. Appeal for free kicks. That was it. It was like you didn't get win bonuses. You got free kick bonuses. That was the whole thing that was wrong. They all want to play football now. They all are being asked to play football. And it turns out when he's asked to play football, he's quite a good footballer. He's quite a good footballer, and he can play number 10. He's been very good.
The problem with football is, like I said, when we win in, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 long, then we bring Caffu, and the tempo gets a bit better. And that's what I've always said. I think what game was it? I think it was Swansea and the Hull game. We won both games. He's come on, and he's done well. And I'm not going to mention the other guy from Olympiacos. He didn't do much. And I look at Caffu now, proving a point.
But going back to the Lolley thing, like Carvalho gets slagged, but if you look at his kind of stats or whatever, he achieves a lot for the time he's on the pitch. Lolley's the same. Lolley achieves a lot. He's hardly played, but he's made quite a few little goals here and there and semi-assists and things and changed the game. He's influential player when he's on the pitch, not so much when he's off it. And I think he's going to be a bit... And Surridge, I think, is another one like that, don't you? Yeah. Surridge is one. He's a game changer, and even Silva now is starting to do. They're all starting. I'm
reading
to
that
do
comment
it.
as well. Are you?
Yeah, this is. They don't even turn your mic down and stop shouting. Why am I? Wait. Because what have I done? I'm the judge. I'm just by Matt's having a debate, and I'm just there listening. Stop. I'm just listening. Chris, I do apologise. Carry on, Matt.
Stand further back. I don't know. I think we've finished on that one.
What I just want to say about Caffu is his ability is limited. You know, again, I'm not saying he's a world beater. I like the guy. I like his attitude. I saw something earlier in the season which I thought he can hold the ball. He's got that thing where he rolls players off his back. But he can only come on into a winning team. So I've used the phrase a lot in various things I've done. He's a horse for a course. And again, there's different ways to win football matches. And what Cooper's found, what I like about Cooper is he doesn't use all the tried and tested methods. You know, he doesn't use, he'll bring Caffu on as almost like his quarterback, you know, almost like his player to come on and do that little role for 5 minutes. And he's probably telling Caffu in the changing room, this is what you do. This is where you're important to me. You know, you're not important to me in the first minute because we need to score goals. And that's what's making him, giving him probably a better attitude. I don't know about...
He presses high, doesn't he? He comes on, it's all energy. It's all, you know, he's running people down and he presses them high, which is good when they're trying to, you know, they're trying to score. So we don't let them come into our half and bomb our box like we used to. None of that stuff happens anymore, does it?
But all
we're proactive.
Yeah, all that
the whole
is being proactive. That's Cooper being proactive and not just going with old-fashioned formations. Yeah, you do it this way, you do it that way. It's him looking at what he's got, the capabilities of each and every player, and saying, "You've got this role to play. You've got this role to play," and it's working. And that's what's great about it. More so than Caffu.
And the thing I'm enjoying more and more is when we have injuries, we find ways round them. Like, I'm petrified about Colback playing left back and we don't have him in the midfield. He makes it work. One way or another, he seems to make it work. You say, well, it might fail. It might fail, but it doesn't. He works it out, doesn't he? Yeah, I mean, they're all playing well. And I'll tell you another thing, quickly rewinding to Lolley. What I'd like to see, because Johnson's having a hard time because they've all got his number, I'd like to see Lolley coming on earlier, playing on the right wing and putting Johnson into number 10.
Right, but you know what? I had a debate with Forest fans as well today. Are you a fan of Johnson as a number 9 or a winger? Because yesterday, there's been moments when Brennan's been quiet, but I think he's more fun as a winger. So people comment, what do you think? Is he more fun as a number 9 or as a winger? Matt, Matt.
Well, I just think he's getting fouled all the time on the wing, isn't he? They're clobbering him. They're putting 2 people on him. I wouldn't mind seeing him come inside a bit more. Like I was saying earlier, Spence was doing that, where he's deciding to come in off the wing and go into the sort of around the sort of semicircle, the box area. I'd like to see Brennan do that more. Really, I'd like to see, and a lot of his good work is when he does show up in the middle. You know, obviously, often it's on the end of a cross from the other wing and all that kind of stuff. I think it could be, helpful because we're also good at free kicks these days, which we never were before. And if we got Garner having free kicks around the fringes of the box, that's going to be handy. So it's too easy for them to foul him on the wing all the time, with or without the if the ref's not going to book the guys and they're going to be able to do it for 45 minutes or 60 minutes of the game before he gets his cards out, let's at least get the free kicks in dangerous area because they're going to foul him. That's all they're going to do because they can't live with his ability. So I'd be inclined to say, let's have some free kicks around the box rather than just lobbing him in from the side, just as an option.
Matt, I think this is for you, Matt. I think Matt said comment about Caffu was a bad gesture. Matt,
that's not what he said.
This
He said last year, not this year.
No, they're not this year. No, not at all. Not this year. But last year, the culture in the dressing room stank. It was awful. I mean, it's from the top, the fish that rots from the head downwards. Obviously, we all know why it was like that. But it was full of dandies in little groups doing their own thing. I think that happens at every club. I think that at every club. Everyone has not at our club now, and that's why you see the difference. It didn't happen under Billy Davis. It didn't happen under Karanka.
So I think that's what Matt's trying to say. It was last year. It wasn't this season. But this season,
actually, I've heard completely the opposite. He's a change, as with on and off the pitch. The players are they're changed. They're being told what to do, and they're doing it, and they're wanting to do it.
Right, I'm just going to look through the comments. Great call from Matt. If you play Lolley and he and Johnny can alternative between the 10 and 5 roles within the game, keep defenders guessing. It is, like I said, with Lolley, Caffu, players like come on as well. Who else come on? Did Silver come on yesterday? Or no, it was Stuart, wasn't it? So, yeah. This is right. Stuart's right. He scored 2 goals. I think he scored against who was it? Who did he score against?
He scored in the last game, didn't he?
Reading and
Huddersfield.
Yeah, I'm asking you guys, would you start him against Liverpool? Because David, to be fair, he's been fantastic for us, and it's a big call for dropping David. But who would you put against Liverpool? People will talk about Liverpool in a minute because it's nearly the hour's gone. We've just talked so much, but guys, who would you play against Liverpool?
I would go down the lines of some of the things we've spoke about already. So I'd play Samba in goal. If McKenna's injured, like Glenn said, anybody who's not 100% fit doesn't play for me. And purely on the basis, I think he's not that far behind Davis in what I've seen. I'd play Surridge because I think he's a really, really good player. And I think in this game, we know Davis's fitness isn't quite 100% because Cooper often speaks about the fact he's lasting a little bit longer each game. And I think because it's not 100%, but because he is on fire, because he's not going to play the full game, regardless of whether he starts or whether he comes. Well, obviously he's not if he comes on, but I would play Surridge and let him sort of run about. We're probably going to be defending for a lot of the first half. Even if we go on to win the game, we're probably going to be doing a lot of defending. So I'd play Surridge in that first half just to hold the ball up. He's better than Davis at that. He could hold the ball up, try and bring some of the faster players into the game. Hopefully we nick one. If we don't, if we're looking for a goal with half an hour to go, you've got a good player to stick up there to try and find one. And whether we're still in the game or not, if we're losing, say, by 1 goal, you could have them both. But I think Surridge would be a great option because we're going to need somebody where the ball sticks in that first half. And if it's sticking, because we know Van Dijk's probably going to do a job on Davis anyway, because Van Dijk's the best defender in the world. If he plays, of course.
He hasn't played against Davis yet, has he? We'll soon find out when he gets a proper test.
Oh, Dave.
I think, answering your question, for those reasons, I'd go with Surridge up front. I think he's in good goal-scoring form. He deserves another chance like he got in the last game. I'd have Davis on the bench, perhaps when they're tiring, perhaps when Surridge is full elbows and loose boots about, run them down a bit, chase them into corners. Like last night, I thought when Surridge come on, I didn't feel like that was a negative sub.
It's a positive, sir. It's a positive thing.
Well, it was.
And Caffu coming on.
The fact we took Davis off in a different era, you might have thought that was a weakened sub. But this guy is not that far behind Davis for me.
But to be honest, I kind of disagree with what you said about who to pick because I think they work better the way round where Davis starts the game and you establish a kind of territory and then you bring on Surridge rather. as the energy when they're tired. I think that it works better that way around. And maybe
I
even
do in the
Silver.
Championship. I do in the Championship. I just think in this game, as a one-off entity, as a separate entity to anything, and the fact that we've got lots of games coming up as well.
Let me argue your point. Des Walker was saying apparently last week, in the olden days, the way it worked was at home, your defence did all the work and the forwards had fun and did what they liked. And when you play away from home, the forwards do all the work, so the defence don't have to work so hard because they can't possibly do it. So it's kind of like the Gary Birtles thing in the European Cup, where he has to run his arse off when you have a difficult game where you're struggling. So maybe backing you up, maybe that's the reason to have Surridge to start, to sort of take the pressure off the defence to make it work. I personally don't think we need it. Yeah, I know there is sense in that, even though it's at home. But I think our defence is strong enough. The only thing that worries me is against the top team, Cole back at left back, not in midfield. I think our midfield might be vulnerable then against the top team.
Really, Matt? Really?
Yeah, it might be a little bit vulnerable against the top team. If we don't have McKenna, we don't have Cook, and we don't have Cole back in front of them, it's a little bit weakened. It might be slightly compromised.
Well, look at Ryan Yates. Gone, been playing great. Come on.
Oh yeah, but you need.
Who would you put at left back instead of?
Well, that's the difficult thing, isn't it? Because he hasn't given anyone a go.
I thought he was personally last night again.
Yeah,
I know the problem is on a position.
But Combat was great. Combat was good. I'm not lying, he was good
again, didn't he? He was stupid.
Yeah, good. He always does. He always does. That's the problem.
But you can't have two of it. If you could clone him, it would be better. I think him in midfield is more of an influence. If you could clone him, it would be Brian Rice territory, wouldn't it? But yeah, but I don't know. It's a trade-off, isn't it? I've been personally, Larea's an international left back, and he's not getting a sniff because an old guy that the previous manager wouldn't let even hang around. It's so important, and I saw someone saying today, drop Cole back and stuff. You can't. He should be the first name on the team sheet, not because he's the best player, because he's the most important. You hang everything else around him. It's like having, I don't know, Sunday roast and not having potatoes. You've got to have the potatoes. It's not the glamour thing. You've got the, everything else, the Yorkshire puddings and the beef, but you've got to have the potatoes.
The potato now.
Well, it's just the nature of things, He is the glue that holds the whole thing together.
Part of a roast dinner is what you're saying.
Yeah, it is. It's fundamental. Yeah, it's what we need on Sunday.
Des looks fed up. Des, what's up, Des?
No, we're going back to the food theme for Des. He's getting hungry. He's thinking, I'm going to nip down and have dessert. He's still got dessert to come, hasn't he? He's looking at his watch. I've got a chair with my name on it in the fridge.
I'm just wondering who's going to be the mushy peas.
Yeah, well, exactly. I know we could do that, couldn't we? But yeah.
Oh right. Right. Before we get to the biggest game for Nottingham Forest, who was your man of the match yesterday, people? And we'll start with you, Glenn. Who was your man of the match? Oh, here we go. I don't even need to mention who he is. The Superman Spence. That was just that. Why did I say that? Yeah, Spence. Spence. Matt.
You've got to say Spence, haven't you? But really, it like you're saying, who you're going to pick in the team. I think now we don't pick people and drop people. We've got a squad, and they're all involved. And that's the brilliant thing. And if one plays, if it's Davis or Surridge or whatever, it doesn't really matter because they'll all be involved. They're all contributing, and it's great. It's not a big issue like it was before, is it? And that's the beauty of it. And who's man of the match? Loads of them. Who doesn't deserve it? It's brilliant.
Yeah. That looks fed up.
I'm listening.
Who's your man of the match?
Well, Spence is the obvious one, isn't he? But the standout performers, I think, is a better way of putting it yesterday, isn't it? And I think Figueredo coming in.
Yeah, Figueredo was good.
I don't think he's got anything to prove. I think Cooper's almost admitted if Cook weren't available, they weren't even looking. Figueredo would have still been playing in the first team, but Cook became available, and he said, "You don't not sign players like that." So I think Figueredo played well. I think Spence obviously did what he did. Brilliant goal, brilliant game, push right on, and then you can't pick fault. Hellback put a man of the match performance in for a player playing out of position. You could say, that kind of thing. All vast confidence is building. Surridge come on and set up a goal. It's just so positive, isn't it? And the way we can sort of, obviously you're rounding up now, the way we can kind of round up by saying brilliant everywhere, we can't say a bad thing about it, really, can we?
It's just degrees of brilliance, isn't it, really? They're all doing well. And, really, Cooper deserves all the credit because he's the one that's made it all happen. And that's what they've all got. We've got to thank our lucky stars for him. He's so good. 100%. It's not all flash. It's from the bottom up, and it's real. It's not going to go away. He knows what he's doing. He's absolutely spot on. He's such a
and all the fun. Do you remember back in the day from August, the panel was here, and we were sad as hell. But now, look at us. We're now happy as Larry. I'm the judge here, trying to keep this the pace really, because we're winning, not even losing, we're winning. So I think that so look at that. Right, next up, we've got Liverpool, and tomorrow I've got a Liverpool fan tomorrow. No,
Blackpool.
No,
that's the important one. That's the big one.
No, the big one. Big one. Next, it's on Sunday. Got Liverpool. So tomorrow I've got I've got his name now. Got Liverpool fan tomorrow on my channel. People in the comments are excited. Before we do talk about, I remember the Swansea fans. Just think, Swansea fans don't rate Cooper. Reece Fish. Remember what you said. Right, Glenn, how excited are you for Liverpool?
Very excited. Can't believe I got a ticket. Very excited. I'm going to be that South East London non-season ticket holder that does not care that he's not there. Someone else is there instead of me, and they're probably worthy of it. I've heard some nonsense this week about that, but I'm not going to talk about that today.
Glenn, if you want to go to Des's house, it's costing $2,000 to watch it in his front room.
You got a free car parking space, Glenn.
Mate, thank you again for that. That was awesome last night. Can't wait for Sunday. Sunday's right at the end of the weekend as well, isn't it? Can't wait. Everything else is just going to be a kind of a pre-match kind of silence before the storm. I can't wait for it, and I hope you three are going to have a great evening.
What about you, Des? I think Des, when the pictures come out, Des was actually buzzing. I think on social media he was going mad. Des, how excited are you to this game?
I am going mad, and I was getting battered for disrespecting Huddersfield, and the league's not a priority. This is what we play. This is what we support football for. This is a big game. We may as well have won this season if we won 38 of them next season. Do you know, why can't we have both? This is what we do it for. Yes, I knew Huddersfield would be tough. I knew we had QPR to play, but I'm not confident about Forest at the minute. I believe we could do it without assuming. This is what we've been waiting for, isn't it? You know, I grew up Forest getting beat by Liverpool quite a lot, you know, and as we spoke about in the past for various reasons, I believe that we were wronged. But that's all history. That's all gone. That's all way back there. You can only go on your next one. And the reason I'm so happy, Dore, is because I do think we've got a chance. You know, we've got a better chance than most of the times we played them in the top league. Because
they've not beaten us. How many games? Wait, Glenn, where's your stats?
They've beaten us for 20 years, have they?
No, at home. They've not beaten at home since. See, this is why I've got a stat man, Glenn, to be here.
But do you know what? Though? They won't find it easy. They will not find it easy. The reason Arsenal and Leicester didn't find it easy is because the City ground is an intimidating place. We don't see it like that because we're always in it. But for away fans, this place is intimidating.
Sorry, Des, that's for you. Just don't play the victim, Des, like the Scousers do.
I think someone's fishing there, aren't they? Someone wants me to say something I might regret.
Don't say anything, Des. Don't say anything. you get my channel deleted, so don't even try it. Mark, last but not least, like, how excited are you for this game?
Yeah, it's a big game, isn't it? I mean, half these players will never be on the same pitch as the players they're going to be playing against in their careers. So it's got to be a big game. They've got to enjoy it. Just treat it for what it is. Look, it's been an amazing week, hasn't it? We've got the 6 points. That's the most important thing.
It's been an amazing season. It's been an amazing season, Matt. I won't say a week.
No, and look, just enjoy supporting one of the most relevant football teams in the world right now. We're doing stuff. There's so many teams in the Premier League that don't mean a thing. Enjoy this, because if we get promoted, yes, we will have 38 games, but we might not be so relevant as we are now. We're actually doing something. We're achieving something. We're moving forward, and we might do something incredible come the end of the season. And if we don't this year, next year will be equally entertaining, and we'll do it. And if we don't do it next year, we'll definitely do it the year after. So tomorrow is just a bit of fun, as far as I'm concerned. We can't possibly have a week with all those points, all those goals, that amazing knockout, and then to knock out one of the biggest teams in the world. But in Nottingham, we just might. That's all I can say. It's Nottingham this week. So if it can happen anywhere, it can happen in Nottingham this week.
Bloody hell, please, Forest. That's all it matters. I've had so many people trying to give me 3-4 weeks. Just do something. All it is, like, whatever happens, it's been a good. Steve Cooper's got all his Forest fans excited, because look, if it wasn't for him, this wouldn't happen.
God, no, we'd all be in a ditch somewhere by now. I definitely would be.
I'd be like Phil Mitchell.
We'd all be alcoholics and stuff.
Exactly. I remember. This is my vlog. It was a miserable game. I came home, and I've never been depressed ever, football-wise. And I was so depressed. And when I heard the team got sacked,
we were depressed before the season started. And then we had our worst start for about 1 million years, didn't we?
Oh, no.
And to think we're sitting here so many games later, and it's like fairy tale situation again. It's amazing.
Yeah. All we want from this weekend, and I see people questioning what I said there, that's fine. All I'm excited about is having a chance. You've got to be playing them to beat them. You can't beat anybody if you're not playing them. And these are the big games, and we've given ourselves an opportunity. We've been begging for a cup run. We normally get a really hard Premiership team away from home, and we get beat quite comfortably, and that's that. 3rd, 4th round, game over. We've had a cup run. We're having a promotion push, it seems. What more can you ask for from a Championship team? And the chance to pit your wits against them. That somebody questioned the intimidation thing. They might not be intimidated, but they won't find it easy, because whatever happens on Sunday, whether we get beat 1-0, whether we win 1-0, whether we get beat 6-0, we will give them a game.
We want a team of Vikings that go out on their shields at the end. We want to be something, on and off the pitch. We have to welcome them to hell, and we are going to give them a game, and that's the main thing. And I know we will, because Cooper's teams do. They don't roll over. They will give them a game. And we should get beaten. How can we not get beaten? But we've got to give them a game. Yeah,
before we do it, I'm ask panel as well about the VAR. Do you think VAR? Let's see if it's Glenn. I saw Glenn. Glenn respond to it. Glenn, what do you think about VAR, Glenn?
I can't see why it's there. I happen to be an equally big rugby fan than I am a football fan, actually, and I see the way that's been coming in. I teach all this stuff about technology and the cricket and tennis and all that sort of stuff, and how it's actually a leveler for the game, and it's the right thing to do. I don't understand why it's all of a sudden appeared in a Championship stadium
hosted,
because it wasn't against Huddersfield, it wasn't against Leicester, it wasn't against Arsenal. So I don't really understand the reason behind it, other than the Liverpool effect. And there's lots of stuff, obviously, isn't there, about it being their 12th man and everything else. It is what it is. It'll be interesting to see. I've also seen a lot this week saying, if it was there, would some of the calls from last night have been flagged up in our favour? Would the penalties that we haven't got come in our favour? Would some of the other decisions that have made that were critical decisions actually be in our favour too. So who knows? I hope that it will not be their 12th man and actually will be a leveler for both teams. But there you go. Of course, it'll be around when we get to the semi-final anyway, won't it?
Yeah.
So we better
get used to it.
The problem
and for next season.
Absolutely.
The problem is if you're having a cup competition, any competition, whether the Dog and Duck are playing the Bluebell Inn, you know, and the cup finals, Liverpool versus Man City. If there's VAR in the competition, it should be in the competition. If there's not, it shouldn't. It's as simple as that. And I don't like it full stop anyway, because I don't even think they go to some replays when Liverpool get. So they say they weigh out over the season. They don't, because I've seen Salah look offside and they've never even shown a replay. You know, every other team are getting scrutinised to the maximum. So I don't think it's fair. I think there's still too much open to interpretation. I don't like it. I dread to think what it's going to be like in the Premier League. But when it comes down to a cup competition, you start with it in round one and you finish with it, or you don't start with it and you don't finish with it. You're imbalancing the competition. You know, it's got to be consistent throughout. Otherwise, it's not fair. If it were there from, if they said it were there from all the rounds properly, you know, I know you can't do it for the game, the kind of game I said, but if it was there from round one to round to the final, fair enough. But it's not, is it? And I think it's only ever going to work in Liverpool's favour, isn't it? Because they're going to get more chances. And again, it's there now. I'm not complaining that Liverpool are going to get more chances, blah, blah, blah. But it's only ever going to work in their favour now, and it seems to be convenient that it's cropped up. They're going to get more chances on goal. They're going to get more sort of free kicks, fouls, things like that. And I think it just shows the power that the big clubs still hold.
And it's going to ruin the atmosphere a bit if there's a lot of hold-ups and things. All that I agree with. And I think they should do it like the cricket with appeals. So you should have to, you know, DRS it. So if Klopp thinks it's a penalty, he should use it. And if it isn't, he's lost it. And he only has two or one of them. And then it would become part of the game and become part of the tactics. And maybe people would stand up if Salah won't, you know, he won't dive over trying to get a penalty. So he throws away his appeal and doesn't get it, you know, things like that. I think that would be a positive thing. Right? Yeah. Whereas when he is fouled, he'll say, I was bloody fouled, and they'll do it and he'll get his penalty. So I think they do it the wrong way.
To use it is just to let someone sit in wherever they sit, in Stockley Park or in the stand, and if they see something, because they can look at it within seconds. If they see something, that's clear and obvious. The thing is, people have forgot this whole clear and obvious thing. So if they see something on a screen, say Joe Worrell punches Salah in the face,
that's a
red card. They're going to see it. You don't need to stop the play. You don't need to look. Or if they are going to use it, send the bloody referee straight to the screen. Because somebody else sits and makes a decision and then he goes, "Oh, I'll go and have a look."
But how good are all of us in real time compared to VAR? When you know, how many times do we say, "Yeah, that's a penalty," or "That isn't a penalty"? They VAR it, and they get it wrong, and everyone agrees that was terrible, and we got it right in 5 seconds, close enough that people would have agreed with it. So all you need is competent people.
Yeah.
Right.
John Moss. Hopefully John Moss isn't in Stockley Park. Well, he's probably better in Stockley Park because he don't have to get off his fat arse.
Who is the referee?
No, but if an idiot's on the pitch ruining the game, they get a fine and a lengthy ban. So how come he gets away with it? That's what I want to know.
Oh, right, lads, it's been a fantastic show. I mean, I've really enjoyed it. But yeah, it's been a good show. Lads, it's been great.
Extra time? We get a few penalties now, don't we?
Boy, it's been a fantastic show. Before I do go, I want to say happy birthday to my niece, Leila. She turned 13 today. And last but not least, I've not mentioned it. I mentioned it on my vlog. A good friend of mine, Nigel, who passed away 3 weeks ago. Sadly, yeah, it was horrible. I was crying yesterday. His wife messaged me yesterday saying, he spoke about me and said about how he was so excited to see me for a away game as well. So, but yeah, Nigel, if you're listening, thank you very much for welcome to the channel. And like I said, you'll be missed as well. But yeah, people, it's been a pleasure. Des, Matt, and Glenn. We've got Liverpool next. Now we can talk about Liverpool now. Because I've been at work all day, and I've had Liverpool fans all day saying, "Dore, you ready?" That's to me to you Liverpool fans. So, but yeah, I'll be ready. So like I said, I'll be there tomorrow, 9 o'clock. I've got Liverpool fans to talk about the game. It's going to be exciting. But yeah, people as well, subscribe to Mr. Do Daily. His link is below. Des, you brought a vlog out, didn't you, Des? And let's say it's a good vlog. Tell people to watch it, Des.
Watch the vlog. It's much more positive than Matthew. I'm joking, Matt. I'm joking. No,
I'm the most positive.
It's just positive.
It's all the therapy from last year that is paying off now. It's all the drugs I'm on for last season.
So yeah, watch it. Dore's got 400 people watching this, so I should have 400 more subscribers.
My daughter gave me crystals to calm my nerves last year. I've got
people.
When Houston was managing, I was grabbing these crystals.
People, there's 141 people. Please, all you people, go down the link below. Subscribe to Do Daily, like it. Get into 200. If you get 200 people, then I'll give a special treat to someone. I'll Liverpool game. People, get the link. Subscribe to me as well. Subscribe to me as well. I'm trying to get you.
Don't forget to subscribe to him as well.
I know. Don't forget to subscribe to me as well. Hit the like button as well, people. Hit the like button. There's 143 people in. Please do hit the like button. It helps my channel a lot. Right, people. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great show again. Des, Matt, and Glenn. Thank you very much for coming on.
That's a record. You have to build a new stand, won't you, or something?
Oh, days. But like people, like I said, thank you very much. I'll be back 9 o'clock tomorrow. Talk about the Liverpool game. Like I said, hit the like button, subscribe to Do Daily as well. And like I said, I'll be back tomorrow. Peace and love. Up the blood clot forest.